one of the things that's great about this tent, unlike other tents I've owned, is this extra large carry bag. Like, there's a ton of extra room in here. You could put like a bundle of firewood in here. But anyway, that's a nice little feature. So I did a lot of research on these different ice fishing hub tents, and I couldn't find anything at all on the X-500 thermal lookout on YouTube as far as just like setup and takedown and all that good stuff. Kind of a little bit of a review as well, but everything is self-explanatory. The sides pop out, the top pops up, everything's normal. The only difference on this X-500 is this front wall. Obviously it doesn't have a pull-out skeleton for it. So I do want to show you that, just because it's not really been covered yet. So we'll go inside and I'll show you how the door wall kind of comes together. So as you can see, the internal frame, these pop-outs, very rigid, solid, everything's good. On the 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, the fifth side, which makes it the X-500, looks kind of floppy and there's no rigidity to it. The corners leaning down and whatnot. So I'll show you what's involved to add the structure part of this wall, and it's very simple and it works well. So okay, so on the right side of the door you have this pull right here. I think it's 3 sections, so that'll go straight down to the floor and walk into that little tab. And then over here, and these are actually hinged and they stay attached to the tent, pretty sturdy. And then same thing over here, this little hinge comes down and it just locks in here when the tent is being stowed. But it also adds to the door frame, and it'll go from the top straight down and into a bottom peg. So I'll show you that. Okay, so I'm just gonna take the Velcro off. And you literally just snap these together like a normal tent pole, and it locks into this tab here. So that's already nice and tight. Put the Velcro back on. And then same thing with this side. I'm gonna undo. It already pops together here. It's actually just two sections. Same thing. Pop it in there. And add the Velcro. And that is pretty much it. I mean, that's going to give you the rigidity on the front wall. It works well. The other thing you'll want to do is, stake them down here. There's internal staking points as well as external. And then, I'm sorry, there is one more piece that's built in on a hinge as well for the corner. And that just goes in there. So now, you have a sturdy front wall and everything's rigid as it should be. I can close this up. And you can see that everything is nice and tight. Like I said, stake it down as well to make it even more rigid. Stake the whole thing out. But and then we're just gonna stake this thing out. Rather simple. And then you can tighten it here. Nice and easy. You got these external pockets for the tie downs. Super convenient. So we'll just stake this guy out. And then you can tighten it here. It's adjustable. And get it really rigid. That looks good. So here's a look at the inside. I love the 360 views, hence the name Lookout. But there's a ton of windows, ton of light. I also like the black as well. It keeps it very dark in here. You can actually sleep in. But this is what kind of room you have. You got five walls, 5-sided, and then you have a rear door as well as the front door. So you can open it for a breeze or, go in and out. But that's that. Next step is putting all my crap in here to camp for the night. And I did buy this specifically for winter camping, not specifically for ice fishing. Though, if we ever get some ice here in southeast Michigan, I would absolutely love to do some ice fishing. Just got into fishing recently, so that would be awesome to do some ice camping. You can see I'm over pretty close to the lake here. I plan on doing some fishing here later. But I'm going to get everything set up on the inside. I got some foam floor tile pieces that lock together. I'm going to try that out. This is, a normal campground during the winter here. It's December 23rd, 2023. But just testing out this new gear. I did spray the entire tent with waterproofing, silicone tent waterproofing stuff. I know these things are waterproof with snow, but not specifically rain, they say, and that was my concern. But I had this thing out in the backyard for like a week and just non-stop rains, and with the spray and what was already on there, it did absolutely amazing, bone dry. So I also have another thing I'm going to be showing you here, which is my portable diesel heater build. That the whole plan of this thermal tent was to run a diesel heater to stay super toasty warm, which it works incredible. I think I had it up to like 100 degrees at one point, so you can turn it into a sauna if you want. But I'll set that up and show you kind of how I built it and what it looks like winter camping with the diesel heater. You know, I'm sure there's tons of videos like this, but this is just something I built, and it's a little bit different, so stay tuned. Harbor Freight special, Black Friday deal. It was like $6 for a pack of 4. I use these in the garage too, they're great. I know a lot of people that ice fish use these, but figured since there's no floor in this thing, which you can purchase separately, but I have no floor currently, so set these up and it'll be nice and comfortable and should help with the insulation as well. We'll see. Just pop these guys together. Now I gotta bring all my crap in. Should help with a little bit of the draft from the floor. I'm going to set up the diesel heater now. It's like 45 degrees right now. I probably don't even need this thing, but maybe later on tonight. That way it's set up. But just to show you, I built this little battery bank power pack myself. Very simple to do. One of these Apache cases from Harbor Freight. Forget the model, but it's one of the smaller ones. I did some customizing here. I did add a battery monitor. It tells me my total draw, my amp hours, voltage, all that good stuff. Added a few switches here, which there's a white light on top, kind of a floodlight in a sense, and then a little amber kind of night light. Nothing crazy there. And then I did add I did have a cigarette plug, but I got rid of those. I got the USB-C, the quick charge, and just regular USB quick charge, 2 of those. Those turn on and off like that. And then to connect, or also to charge, I have this Anderson input here. So I'm using the Anderson style cable. And all this is a 50 amp hour cheap Amazon Time USB LifePo 4 battery. So you can see my little breaker box there, switches, all that. It just barely fits. I kept cramming more stuff in here, but it works. And then I am gonna switch the charging cables to these locking type, which I have, I just haven't done yet. So that's the battery system. Gonna kind of test, see how long this works on the diesel heater, but I ran it at home for well over a day and barely drained the thing. So I think as long as you're not turning the diesel heater on and off for the startup and shutdown, I don't think it actually uses that much power, but I can actually monitor it here now, so that's cool. So that's the battery bank. So here is my portable diesel heater build. Also an Apache case from Harbor Freight. This little exhaust tube here, it's kind of temporary. I had it actually with this flush mounted here, and it looked a lot cooler and it was great. But I added the hose just for kind of directional heat, but it's not really necessary, so I'll probably switch it back. But again, here's the input for power, which will come out of the battery pack there, which is this type. I believe this is called an Anderson type cable, but that's how I connect the two, so it gets power. And I guess I'll open this thing up so you can kind of see how I built it. I mean, I just looked at other people's photos and other YouTubes and whatnot, and just kind of did my own thing with it, but it came out really great and it works awesome. So okay, here's the inside, the guts. I gotta keep this vertical because the fuel tank, but I'll get a better view here. But here it is, pretty straightforward. This is the Chinese diesel heater, the 5 kilowatt. Even though it says 8, that is a lie, as you probably know if you've researched these Chinese diesel heaters. This is the Max Speeding Rods brand. Highly recommend them because I powered this thing backwards and fried the main board, the motherboard, whatever. And it was my fault, and I emailed them right away and I was like, hey, you know, I'm an idiot. How much for a new one? And no questions asked. They just sent an entire new unit, which was crazy. So props to them. They are great, and it's been working great. I've been using this on and off for about I don't know, 6 months now or so. But I'll move the camera around so you can kind of see the setup. Maybe you can take a screenshot or whatever to do your own thing, but it was rather easy to build. I will say this exhaust I'm going to change. I was impatient and wanted to build my own thing and not wait for the through hole fitting, which is what I'll change it out to. But this has been working great. So I'll show you a few more angles on it so you can see. Okay, so on this other side, on the lid, is where I have the fuel pump and fuel filter mounted at the angle that they recommend. I forget what that is, but 30 degrees or something. And then I do have like the silencer or deadener, they call it. But I will say, everyone complains about the ticking sounds. Inside this case, with the way this is set up, I don't really hear it at all. It's been pretty great. I do have some fresh air kind of intakes here. This is the main air intake on this side. I don't know if you can see it there. And then obviously the exhaust, or not the exhaust, but the heat end. And then the exhaust and fresh air is right there. And there's no leaks or anything. I've tested this with multiple carbon monoxide sensors and different sensors, so it is rather safe. And then I will show you how the exhaust and how this whole unit is going to go in the tent. I do run this inside the tent, which I know a lot of people do not because they don't want to die, so I get it, but it does, it's not an issue, and I have redundant monitors and alarms, so this is the way I've been running it. It just stays warmer, recirculating the warm air from inside the tent, rather than running in and out tubes and intake and exhaust tubes, whatever, to recirculate the same thing. So I'll show you how it goes in the tent. So like I said, this exhaust is not what I wanted to do initially. I just had these fittings and stuff laying around on this old iron pipe and whatnot, but there is a benefit to this, and that is it's a little more transportable because the exhaust literally just screws on. Brought a wrench, tighten that up real good. Okay, now I'll show you how we get the exhaust outside of the tent and under the skirt. So I used this. I had some scrap material in the garage. I welded this up and it works great, so I may stick with it, but I might also cut a hole in the tent and put like a plate and make it a little more legit. But this is essentially how it's going to work. It just slides in here and the skirt goes over. There is like no heat on this. This is also like super high temp paint, but I've checked this with the laser thermometer deal. On high, the hottest it has gotten is 90 degrees, so that's not going to melt the tent, and I never really run it on high because it gets way too hot in here, but that's how this is going to work, and then I'll throw it in and actually install it here. So under the skirt we go. Something like that. And then we just slide this guy in. And you are now exhausting to the outside and don't have to worry about burning your skirt on your tent here. And that's what it looks like from the outside. That'll work. Don't mind my dripping nose. It's always dripping. Alright. We should have power now. We have power. So we'll let this thing warm up a bit. And I have the controller set up like this just so I can, you know, put it remotely. I can stick it in a little pocket or whatever, keep it on my little table, rather than mounting it flush here. But that's that. Turn it down a bit. I'm going to let this run so you guys can kind of hear the startup process. You'll hear the clicking at first, but it does deaden out after it gets going here, so it's just priming right now. And then you kind of hear more of the vent and the air sound coming out more than the ticking from what I've noticed, so we'll see. It might sound terrible on video, because it kind of does right now. do a temp check here. So a starting temp and how hot you can get this darn thing. It's starting to quiet down. Yeah, it's getting a little more quiet. And once it fully ramps up, I think it quiets down even more. Smoke. Pretty quiet too. Not gonna bug any neighbors or anything. That's looking good. Okay, temp check. It's about 45 degrees outside. Portable sauna, anyone? Yeah. It's freaking hot. 10 minutes on high. Time to turn it off. Alright, time to do some fishing. Or attempt at fishing. No luck fishing. That's alright. Anyways, back at camp, that's all I got for you guys. This is the X-500 winter setup with the diesel heater. I just wanted to take you on a tour here. Anyway, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. And hopefully do some more videos here soon. Thanks.